lane, but it still is into a Nautilus, so it feels okay.
Also, Career's Enchanter play has not been the most promising.
That is true.
He shows a lot of promise, but yeah, that Karma game playing against T1, that really sticks out to me. Xin Zhao, looks like that will be the play for Lucid.
They could play Lulu, I suppose. I mean, it still really works here, but like you said, the Enchanter play hasn't been that great. There's a lot of setup for it, though. Even though it's not the Giga Lulu lane angle, it's ranged into Nautilus. You take it away for the rest of the series. And if Keria's not great at playing Lulu, might as well get it out of the way.
You could also play like Poppy or Rakan. Rakan is rough against Talia, though. He's going to go for Leona. I guess they decide, well, we need a bit more engage, and it's good with the Ezreal as well.
So, is it Gwen, or is it Cassante? Or does he have something else in mind? Is it going to be his own Gnar? I think the Gwen makes a lot of sense. Your Talia can now go for the utility build and feel a little bit better about that. When you have a lot more damage in the Gwen, you have a side lane pressure threat. The Grubs actually feel incredibly impactful in this game with the Azir and the Gwen on opposite sides here, and the power they can get with side lanes.
Here we go, game number 1 of what could be a very long best of 5. At least that's what I'm expecting.
That's what we expected yesterday,
it's
and it
going to
almost
be really short or really long.
Yeah, I don't. I voted 3-1, but the more I listen to people around me talk, I'm like, ooh, this was probably the dumbest prediction of in terms of what the scoreline could look like.
There weren't a lot of 3-1s, but what I will say is that generally the unexpected outcome comes true. You know? It does feel that way, unless it's like Genji versus, I don't know, a team that they're much better than, and then you're like, okay, it's 3-0, and we all get our Preds right, and we don't feel good about it, but it makes sense.
I have to say, I'm getting a little bit of a B&K vibe from how DNS set up this draft. Like, the draft was intelligent. They opened the Azir, got the Vi, and then they're like, now you're playing Azir into Talia, and you're playing into Talia Vi. And ended up getting the counter pick for Dudu. So he has this Gwen. They waited out the flex of the Ambessa. Once that was revealed, they were like, okay, got the handle for this. They got the Corki early into Ezreal. They banned the Karma away, which was one of the biggest threats there. And again, they know that's kind of the Enchanter career place, you know, although mixed reactions.
He does play it. Yes, he does play the
Look, it's hard to mess up Karma is what I'm trying to say, and I know a lot of people didn't enjoy his Karma that much, but I think a lot of people on our talent team don't enjoy Karma in general. At the end of the day, though, I look at what DNS did and the plan they had, and I don't want to say DPLUS got trapped, but DPLUS definitely did exactly what they wanted them to do, and they ended up with what, in their minds, feels very comfortable. So even if they end up losing this game, because this comp has a lot of volatility in it, I feel like they had a smart idea, and that's why I say they kind of have B&K vibes. This is what I've been looking for a little bit more of from our teams here in the lower bracket.
Yeah. And on the side of DPLUS Kia, I think if they win with Showmaker on Azir and, you know, Comfort for the other guys, I think that's going to be a huge confidence booster where Showmaker gets his nice turnaround in terms of his own stats, the team as a whole feeling very good. You know, they have a comfortable start with a couple of those Comfort picks. You know, Career's making plays. He's not just dying over and over on an Enchanter. I feel like this is a draft that they can win with and then feel very good to build momentum off of. But they do have to win. They have to win game 1 for that to happen. And I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see if that does, in fact, happen. As Duckdom and Peter playing this very defensively, just waiting for the pushes to come in. But Smash will punish you if that is the way you're going to play.
Even on this Lethal Temple Ezreal, you are able to obviously offer a lot of damage back early with your cooldowns. I look at this game. I agree with everything you're saying in terms of the momentum. I also want to add that Career, to me, is some of his best games, even though in a loss, like sometimes he gets a little bit too aggressive and has horrible KDA on it, but that's how Leona goes. I think this Leona has been, for me, is going as far back to Challengers and even more recently Kespa Cup, one of his better picks. And this draft does allow for a little bit of peel with it, can follow up on Xin Zhao engage and Ambessa engage, or even set one up. So it's a lot of agency in this draft. I just need Showmaker to show up to team fights a little bit more than the last time he played Azir.
Yeah.
Or show up a little bit earlier than he did the last time he played Azir. where we were not as inspired. I think he's 0-2 on the pick.
Yeah. And Azir itself is like 1-9 in the last 10 games. This is like the LCK staple, the pick that doesn't lose lane. It farms up. It scales very well. It's a playmaker. It's like every mid laner's favorite pick, it feels like. But not nowadays. It does feel like there are a lot of good answers into the Azir. And also it does feel like a lot of our mid laners are trying to make like these crazy highlight plays like UCal yesterday. He was like trying to bring his team back, and he just ended up kind of looking silly on it, but that's just the way it goes from behind on Azir sometimes. You go in, you try to engage, and, you know, if you don't get someone or if you only get flash, you're just going to die from behind. So it feels like it's still a good pick, but people are just not winning on it recently.
Yeah, it has to have the right circumstances go well. I think part of the problem with Azir and a lot of champions that go in that are kind of squishy is that AD carries just do so much damage in the late game. Like, if you go in on Azir and you look for that shuffle, and the AD carry flashes it, he, like, two-shots you, and you're like, oh, that's it for me. I didn't have Zhonya's.
Yeah.
Even yesterday we saw, like, the Ambessa jungle go into the Pantheon and, like, lose 2/3 of its health bar. You're like, oh, yeah, that can't do that unless you get the follow-up real fast. Speaking of real fast follow-up.
A lot of trading down here in the bottom lane, but at the end of the day, Nautilus into Leona is you're hooking a target that's basically unkillable. Now, Keria keeps going in onto the Corki. This isn't looking good. He is going to have to flash away. Does use his Ignite. It's a lot of trade back potential, but now the flash in onto Smash, who also went too far. Duckdom has his flash too, and with the barrier coming in, Duckdom getting super low, but it's just going to be first blood going over to Peter. Keria desperate for something back, and they even give the kill to Duckdom. 2-0 for the DNS bottom lane.
Bit of a disaster here for Smash and Keria. I was ready to sing the praises of Keria and Smash on the initial part of that, but then they got a little bit disjointed on what happened next, and the punish came through super quickly there from Duckdom and Peter. Yeah.
Yeah. Gwen is immune, by the way.
Yeah, cannot be damaged or affected by abilities. So in this initial play, Duckdom buffers it back, but this is, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Keria is saying, or Smash is telling Keria, just trust me, I'm going to hit everything. So just sacrifice your health bar for this. But then he goes too deep, and Keria has gone so far away, they can't really help heal here until the flash comes through. He plays it well. Duckdom does not want to get hit. The Aftershock is a lot of damage and doesn't get hit by the Eclipse there and just buys barely enough space with his Valkyrie. And then Peter allows him to finish the kill. And that was really well played there by the DNS bottom side. But yeah, getting caught there on the overextension. Smash like, I'm hitting everything. But he also got hit by the one thing that ended him at his demise. So it looked really cool until Peter was like, nah.
Yeah, I think you got to walk that tightrope.
A little bit more measured.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that Smash, he oftentimes errs on the side of being a little bit too over-aggressive. And, you know, when he first debuted with T1 and he was playing Ezreal and he looked amazing because T1 always were winning, like, he kind of got to do whatever he wanted. But nowadays, you know, he goes in like that, he's just going to get punished, and it's got to be a little bit more measured, as you say.
It's hard to tell if my, like, you know, fantasy world scenario is what happened. We might have another skirmish here, so I'll get back to it later. Peter is take a bit of damage.
He's level 6, though, to Keria's level 5, and Closer's here first. That's a flash away from Lucid already. Lots of poke damage, though, coming out from Smash, and now Showmaker gets on over. They get the kill onto Peter, but Pyoshik is going to get away. Closer as well on very little mana, or rather health. They do survive, though, ends up being a 1-for-1, but Smash does pick up a kill.
Peter held his ultimate really late in the fight. I thought he wasn't even going to get to use it at the end, but did hit Showmaker and denied some of that follow-up damage. Unfortunately, Duckdom isn't quite large enough, even with his big health pool there, to actually finish everybody off and clean up that fight, which I think was the idea. I think this is all around the fact that Peter has level 6 advantage over Keria, and Keria can't hit it, can't be anywhere near the minions. Xin Zhao ultimate gets a lot of value here. Peter, again, holding the ultimate, and then is able to get it here onto Showmaker, I believe. Actually, it might have just been the Vi ult there that got the knock-up onto him.
Yeah, on a Lucid.
Yeah, put it onto Lucid there at the last possible second because he had the Xin Zhao ultimate running. Over here, Dudu.
Yeah, Dudu has Peter around with him as well, and some needles on top of it. Xiu has to flash away from the scissors. As Ignite utilized by Keria, I think just kind of to push him away and scare him off a little bit, but that's a 1 trade to DNS. Doesn't amount to too much. Looks like she will have to back, though.
And grubs are available here. Like I mentioned, they're really important in this game, but since Shiu has teleport and get back here faster, as it took a minute for Dudu to clear the wave, they can't do them right away. There's no more Weaver's Wall either, and Showmaker has ult advantage, so I don't know if there's a real play here for DNS to look for grubs right now, even though they have vision control and did win the trade. So I guess we're just going to have a little bit of a delay on that one.
Yeah, DPLUS Keria did get the Chemtech Drake after the trades we saw down in the bottom river, where both AD carries did pick up a kill, but DK kind of got ahead because they picked up the objective. Showmaker, actually, I noticed, didn't have his Emperor's Divide for that bottom river fight. He ended up getting ulted by Vi and, you know, wasn't really able to go in, but didn't have his ult. Maybe could have looked a little bit different. Not really sure how he used it in the 1v1. And speaking of 1v1s, Smash not enjoying his time at the moment.
Yeah, not enjoying that Corki shred. And they both had barrier. Corki has pretty strong sustained damage in those short burst trades. See if Career will ever hit level 6 this game, because I thought he was thought it was significantly closer than he was when we were talking about that bottom side fight. I was like, yeah, he can't get to those minions, you know, he can't hit it. And he has not been getting experience for a while.
Closer has to play safe. His Emperor's Divide is up now, but Closer very close to getting his flash back.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to bait around that timing for Pioshik. Instead, Pioshik's just going to go top side here. This ward is going to be quite valuable for Shiu. Has a jungler coming up.
Yeah, the top dives for Pioshik, sometimes a little bit iffy. This time it will be as well, as Lucid is here. And Pioshik going to be slowed down. The needles, though, will prevent them from following. And also, importantly, Closer here as the knockback does come in. And Lucid, super low, goes into his ult and gets a rock to the face as Closer on the roam makes a big play.
Showmaker is going to get some plate gold, but actually Duckdom is there to answer the push. So looks like nothing too crazy going to happen for this Azir in the mid lane. And they're going for a follow-up dive.
Yeah, they might as well. The depth charge is here for Peter. Shiu doesn't have his ult or flash. It's just free food, and Peter's able to tank it as well. This is pretty huge in the early game for DNS.
These types of roam plays from Peter, he was quite famed for at the end of 2025 on KT Rollster. You know, lane swaps were changed, right, and they were dying off a little bit, but his roam plays, which support became all about, when are you topside, when are you going mid, how often do you stay in lane? Plays like this, these delayed follow-up dives can really throw you off guard in this meta because we see them so less often. But he is a whole level up on career, and he is making impact plays in the 2v2, now topside. And that was a big win for DNS, who find themselves with a 1.6 thousand gold lead after the play. I thought for a moment that was the way that they played the dive was way too forced. Like Pioshik went in initially, and I was like, ooh, this is messy, this is not clean. But they kind of baited him. And Showmaker just decided he wanted plate gold, and he was like, okay, I'm sure they'll back off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was communicated that, you know, Closer was out of the lane and that he easily could have been top lane. But, you know, whether on purpose or not, they did get baited into kind of a wonky skirmish in top lane, which Closer immediately was able to capitalize on. And then they got the little bonus kill on a Shiwu. So pretty much everything going perfectly well for DNS here in the early game. They don't have the grubs yet, but still feeling pretty good, especially, you know, Dudu picking up a couple assists. Although the Eclipse is done here for Shiu, so might have to be a bit careful, especially down flash is Dudu.
Yeah, I think he just probably wants to avoid looking for any sort of all-in. Just clear waves when he can. This will be helpful. I do think grubs are a pretty big pickup for either team. You know, both junglers were backing. I was like, all right, look, Pioshik cleared his bottom jungle. Maybe he's in the back, and they go straight there. No, Lucid, we'll see where he goes. We're living in the bottom lane. Unfortunately for DPLUS, their jungler is pretty far behind the rotation. They do have that ward in the river, and they'll smartly to back away here, although... Nice buffer.
Yeah. Smash utilizing his shift for good rather than evil in this game.
That's I was thinking about that. That was my shower thought today. I was thinking about that.
Hog State enjoyers will know. Little bit of a biffo here, as Max would say, in the tri-brush, but not really amounting to too much. I think DNS know that one of the ways they lose this early game lead is by being too over-aggressive into a Xin Zhao, and they're going to just back away.
It's tough to give up Dragon, but they don't necessarily have to give up Dragon by backing away here. They could just kind of play it slow and look for an opportunity. The Grubs are going to despawn in a minute, as Duckdom is really pushing this advantage right now. Just a small health advantage, but he's like, that's enough for me to look for these Gatling guns with Valkyrie, especially when the support isn't here. I'm free to use Valk without any punish. Keria wants to come over and punish, but can't.
They're looking for Keria now, actually, who does have his flash and Eclipse, takes a big chunk of damage, but now Closer looking to get into the fight. They're going to get the flash out of Keria for their troubles, looking for more as Lucid going to get ulted and knocked back into the death charge. He doesn't get to play the game as the Xin Zhao is taking up quite a bit, actually, with his ult, and down will go Closer as Smash doing quite a lot in this scrappy skirmish, and now Duckdom tries to go in on a Showmaker and just dies to him. And it's only Pyosik left alive against 3, and eventually he will just die to Ignite. And DNS, I was just saying, one of the ways you throw this early lead is by being too over-aggressive, and that they do.
Now Grubs have despawn, so those are gone. Okay, I've been trying to persuade people, but you know, it looks initially like Keria had a big misjudge here, but Lucid bails this team out so hard and absorbs the pressure. Watch how much damage is absorbed by his Crescent Guard here and how much time is bought, because Gwen obviously is not here. You know, Showmaker is going to rotate over faster. Look at Lucid. He's like, yeah, just tank it for days. Pyosik has to go in so deep that now there is nobody to protect Duckdom. Smash hits every shot here onto Peter, blasts him out of the sky, and like, Pyosik just overstaying his welcome here. Essentially, they just ignored him after he used his buttons when he went super deep, and the rest of the team was out of position trying to follow up. And just like that, like with the snap of your fingers, like you said, overextend, stay a little long, suddenly DPLUS in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Especially to Xin Zhao, like he's one of the best junglers at absorbing pressure, and now we're just fighting again. His Closer is going to have to flash away, and Duckdom says, hey, how about I start up this dragon? He is going to have to Valkyrie out of here, and it looks like Peter is not going to be in the pit for very long. As down he will go, Showmaker collects another kill, and Lucid hits level 11, as DPLUS Kia are catapulting into the lead in this mid-game.
Well, that's cool because Dudu's got 3 Grubs to side lane through. Oh wait, no, they didn't. Nobody got the Grubs. I love how the UI still says they're live you know, to remind everyone. They fixed it actually. It says Herald now. Sorry, I thought that was because it used to be bugged and say it no matter what. Anyway, they're alive in my heart, Valdez. As we are going to see this kind of scrappy fight where DNS are coming over here to try to set up for a contest, but there is no setup. Like, there's no Nautilus ultimate, there's no Vi ultimate. I don't really know what the game plan was here. I don't think they do either, and that is going to be 2 dragons and the Herald. Of course, not Grubs, but Herald.
Yeah.
Which can do some serious damage on its own.
Yeah, I think they wanted to try to collapse into the fight and then realized that they were being collapsed on faster. And then they just tried to abandon ship, and it looked very silly. As now we're going in. Again, this is Lucid, level 11, an item and a half. Doesn't really care about too much, but has less of his team around this time. So will survive for quite a long time, but does eventually go down. Pyosik picks up the kill.
I don't know if it's worth if you lose 2 turrets, though.
No.
I think it's absolutely worth, like, Lucid might be, if we were doing player of the game, like he might be the leader at 0-3-5 right now. Because he kind of just keeps pressing hard. His team is winning otherwise. He's kind of just saying, come at me, bros, and they accept his invitation. Now, maybe this could make things a little different if Showmaker does get picked off here, but again, there's no Vi ultimate. It was used just moments before, and so Showmaker just casually walks away. He has Arm Guard as well, so he can walk back up and say, Keria's coming to cover if you guys want to try again without your ults. Yeah, again, this is Lucid making an aggressive play, gets a blast cone out. Now they're kind of safe from the Taliyah follow-up range, and even though Pyosik ends up getting the ult off on him and the follow-up is there from the Taliyah, both Showmaker and Shio are pushing sides. This buys an insane amount of time. They also were able to steal away the buff itself.
Imagine if they had Grubs Wolf. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, no, sick value, but
they still got both of the turrets. So, feeling pretty good.
On top of first turret, which was theirs as well. That Nashor's Tooth is real. It's not just, you know, an imitation that Showmaker's got around his neck. It's the real thing.
Why is it around his neck?
Well, I mean, that's how you, like... You know,
isn't it like a dagger?
Yeah, but I mean, it's also, in some cases, worn like a shark's tooth necklace.
Must be pretty small then, I guess.
I mean, he can resize it.
It looks about
It's
the size
magic.
of the arm guard, which is, you know, the size of somebody's forearm. I don't know if you could wear that around your neck.
Imagine wearing a short sword around your neck. Like, it would be uncomfortable and dangerous, but you could do it.
I don't think you should do that. It's probably not a good idea. Dude, it does go into the mist here. Showmaker's like, well, this is Gwen. I don't really want to play this game. They're doing a great job of choking out all the vision, though.
Yeah, no, this is really uncomfortable for Peter and Pioshik, as you can see here. And the side lane pressure, even grubless, is quite real, as we are setting up for Soul Point here for DPLUS in 90 seconds. You can see there's just not really a play to make for DNS's comp.
Pioshik just queued in, and now is going to spark a team fight here, so he goes back in on a Showmaker, gets the arm guard. Lucid, again, does not take any damage, but he's always in the front, so they always have to attack him. As Ducktom does get over, but a lot of low health bars here for DNS. They're going to have to reset real quick, as they would love the Cloud Soul.
She was just like, call me if you need me to press D. I'll do it, but otherwise I'm kind of just getting plate money. I'm going to back off and finish my second item here. You guys got that under control over there? Nice. They're just playing tennis with DNS, but DNS are the tennis ball. Widid knows a lot about
That's
this.
good, yeah. I like how you mentioned that, because Widid is actually here on the space today.
Widid is the tennis master.
Yep. He knows all about it. Big fan of Carlos, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Tennis people will know.
Tennis people will know. It doesn't sound generic at all to me. It sounds very much like a very strong tennis player.
Yep. He's very good. Nothing's really happening here in this mid game, although this dragon is about to spawn, so I would expect
DPLUS
some action.
Have a ton of control around it. Like, we're looking at 2 item spikes for 80 carries, extra Caulfield's Warhammer doesn't matter that much. There's a serrated Dirk for Ducktom anyways. But it's really just about, can you set up the team fight without vision if you're DNS? Because you're playing the pick comp, you're playing the Vi Talia, and your side laning Gwen is under a turret. So you really just don't have any power anywhere. You don't have any pressure points. You have to hope for an overextension. Showmaker has Zonias and his empowered Merc Treads. So good luck trying to pick him. He has Flash and Emperor's Divide as well as his dash. So he can really push this side lane with impunity. And eventually DNS will have to walk into where they do not have vision. And if they don't, DPLUS will just start the dragon and say thank you for soul points. We will see that TP back to the bottom lane.
Yeah. I would like DK to, you know, be a bit proactive. They've been very good about getting the vision and, you know, setting up what could be a good play. I think, you know, you got to pull the trigger now. You know, drop the Rift Herald, take the dragon, get that on its cooldown timer so you can, you know, pressure. Instead, they're just going to try to push mid and Lucid's going to die. Yeah, I don't know. Keria gonna hit the wall as well as Ducktom's going in, nearly takes out Smash as the flash on in from Peter to block the Mystic shot. And he's gonna die instead, but now we got a Gwen in the party as Smash goes down to the Gwen. It's a massive shutdown for Dudu. And all of a sudden, one big mistake for DK, and they didn't even get the dragon.
I'm not also sure how, I'll have to watch it back, how Dudu got the faster rotation into the team fight. As Shiu did not show up at all, despite the fact that he's an Ambessa who has teleport and the Gwen can't stop that. So let's watch this again. Like, Lucid has really been testing the Crescent Guard theory this game. He really tested it here. Like, I don't know if anyone's tested it this much, okay? We found the limit, as we do have in live a potential pick onto Showmaker, but Smash goes incredibly low. The peel is here for Peter, who does die for said peel, but Dudu's here. I wasn't watching the replay because of the live picture, so I really still don't know how.
He just ran down first.
Yeah, I guess
like,
so.
That's it. Yeah.
Shiwa, I think you have to follow those, although it's tough to follow with Gwen, I understand. You're 650 gold up. You've been pinning them under a turret this whole game. I don't know if that's allowed.
Shouldn't be. DPLUS Kia, they are going to get back on the map. Even though that fight did go to DNS, they were a little bit too low against Showmaker and Shiu, so they couldn't do the dragon. So DPLUS Kia actually going to get Cloud Soul points, and obviously feels very good on this team. And also taking away from DNS feels great, away from the Gwen specifically. And just stacking up some more stats for the team.
It's a great position for D+. It could have been much better, though, as Pioshik...
Goodbye.
He's zooming.
It was nice knowing you.
It's really interesting that Pioshik is the only one with a gold lead because Xin Zhao's ultimate doesn't care about gold.
Peter has a gold lead, too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Xiu on the run here. Has flash. They're trying to get that, but not going to overcommit. Closer has to use his flash to get away. And now kind of an awkward spot as Showmaker and Xiu are considering going back in.
All right, well, that was a very near tense moment.
It feels like a lot of these fights are like this, where it's very close, but neither side is really 100% sure of like if they're going to win or not. It's
well, what's interesting,
unless you're Lucid and you just put your face in it.
What's interesting to me is that Lucid putting his face into it has been working up until that last time. But beyond that, it feels like DNS are being way more proactive. Like, Showmaker's been 2-0 on this Azir for a really long time. He got that turret, but has otherwise been relatively absent in this game. Whereas we're seeing Closer constantly with his stuff on cooldown. You know, he's looking all the time for a Weaver's Wall angle. Sometimes they fish a little bit too hard. And again, it feels like, for me, Lucid has had a huge impact this game despite being 900 gold behind and 0-4-6 on this Xin Zhao. Pioshik is trying to find those angles, though. And eventually, if Smash makes that mistake of going a little bit too deep, or he or Showmaker are caught first, trying to aggressively side lane and make that aggressive call they haven't really been making recently, the DNS get back in the game. So I can understand the caution, but maybe a little bit too passive here, D+.
Yeah, got to make some plays. Looks like they're
listening.
They were thinking about it. They were thinking about making a play. That's the first step for making a play.
Yeah, identify the play and
yeah.
then execute.
Now Peter, oh, they're trying to collapse on this actually with a TP. A lot of DK is around, but this Gwen is going to be in a great spot, and DPLUS Keria kind of just on the run as Lucid, once again, just the punching bag. He does not have flash. Down he will go, and they just say, hey, there's a Baron here. Maybe we can take it. No. Pioshik nearly dies, and they certainly can't just take the Baron as much as Closer would like to.
He's living in the side lane this game. He's 0-1-0 and he likes it that way. 1,000 gold up. And he's going to grab this Crystalline Overgrowth. And while the Baron is not secured by anyone, and yes, eventually Lucid died, he allowed for Xiu to get the cross map.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a worth death for Lucid because so much is used. Like, how many times are we going to do this? It's a Leona and a Xin Zhao. Like, the positioning is great here for Keria and Lucid because they're like, you can't kill either of us. It's Xin Zhao and Leona. But they're a little split. And DNS are like, his ult does run out. We figured it out. So they do end up killing him here.
Times the charm.
But they can't get any major return on that investment, right? And unfortunately, Xiu ends up getting the turret on the bottom side. We kind of end up back at square one. Or not the turret, but a lot of plate gold. We end up back at square one. And for D+, you really just need to now. You could have tried to start a Baron. You could have looked for a cool turn. You know, use that frontline TP in with Xiu with the deep vision you had. There were so many flank angles. They didn't take those opportunities. They played it safe, which cost them a little bit. But now you just kind of play for Cloud Soul. And you just go, all right, well, we'll now just put Xiu back in the bottom lane. We'll push these waves out with Smash. We'll get vision for the Dragon. And as long as we have any sort of vision to make sure that DNS aren't doing Baron on the cross map, we should be fine. And it is, you know, a little bit more damage on this Taliyah build. It's not like this is an impossible Baron take by DNS if they were to trade for it. Again, Cloud Soul is permanent, Baron is not, but it could allow them to get a lot of standing gold that's on the map. It's a very small gold lead here, 28 minutes. It would push them massively in the lead if they were to pick up all those plates on the 3 outer turrets, which they would get for sure almost instantly from a Baron take. I am just kind of like, D+, are we gonna do the setup?
Remember, DPLUS Keria was the team that went 34 minutes without a first blood. I forget which team that was. It was either Bro or DRX, I'm pretty sure. Well, DPLUS Keria was the other team, right? So they're no strangers to some passive play. And it's kind of funny because in this game, you know, if you're watching it as we are, like, the Gwen feels so strong. It feels like Dudu's doing so much. He's very fed, etc. He's 1,000 gold behind. Yeah. Like, Xiu just sitting in the side lane farming and PvEing is actually getting a lot more for the team and for himself.
However, you will eventually have to use that gold to get the power from it. And I think that might be the timing here. As the dragon spawns, they do have that set up a little bit slower than I expected, as here's the engage.
Yeah, once again, it's DNS who are pulling the trigger, and DPLUS are just running away. Career's just dead. I mean, Flash and Ignite gone, and he's just dead.
And it's just Nautilus ult. Like, they still have the Vi ultimate available here.
They're trying to fight for this. I'm not sure they're in a position to really do that, although a lot of damage does go into Peter. Pyosik going to go on a magical journey of his own and just kind of die. Meanwhile, Zeus going 1v3, takes him out. They get on top of Closer as well, and Dudu doesn't quite have the damage, gets pushed over the wall. Duckdom, though, goes back in and just dies, and the 4v5 goes handily to DPLUS.
And Showmaker looks at everyone who doubted them in that moment, including you, about going for that fight, and he said, I knew Pyosik was going to ult me. I knew he couldn't resist. As this fight is initially great for DNS. They just go in on the Leona. They have all the CC here. There's no fault, but the Rock's down, both locking Career in and making it difficult to follow up here for D+. And then we can't decide if we want to kill the champions or kill the dragon a little bit here. And ultimately, Pyosik decides. He's like, I'm not ulting that. Look at this target over here. And Duckdom is like, in Zimbabwe. Dudu is like not able to join.
Yeah. I don't know. DK just getting the Baron, by the way.
Yeah. I think that might have been the game-losing fight for DNS because this is just too much.
Yeah, I like the eagerness to go for the play. The execution was the opposite of that. DPLUS got so much off of that play, by the way. They got the Cloud Soul, they got the Baron, and yeah, it's feeling pretty good. You know, we felt the Ambessa gold lead. We felt what happens when the Vi solo ults Azir with no follow-up. Right, the discombobulation of DNS after they got the initial pick was very palpable.
We're kind of at the cycle part for Pyosik, where he's picked up some big POMs. Had some great interviews. You know, he's in the spotlight. He's considered to be one of the big reasons why DNS have made it this far, to where you start to forget that sometimes you roll tails. Sometimes you flip tails on that one. Sometimes you roll a 2 or a 1. He has a, big impactful KDA alongside Duckdom in this game. Better than a 2-5 and 9 Xinjiao, right? Well, not really.
Lucid still POG.
People forget that Pyosik does occasionally make decision-making and judgment errors in these types of games.
Yeah, I think his aggressiveness paid off early on in the game, but yeah, Closer doesn't really exist. But yeah, one false maneuver on Vi, and you're gonna get punished for it. Now, Objective Bounty does go over to Dudu, but DPLUS don't really care about that, just pushing with the Baron as much as they can. And Dudu says, I'm going to go even further. I'm thinking about this bottom inner for their second turret of the game, but the 2 inhibitors looks like that was kind of a foregone conclusion, so DNS do not even fight for it.
All right, so Dudu gets
in the lane. 2
turrets and 2 bounties, and that leaves them 1,200 gold behind. Individually. Yeah. That puts his team 4,000 gold behind. I guess that, Pyosik, if his flash will be back up, maybe you just sit back, you stop side laning, you clear waves, and you hope to flip it on Elder.
Do you think they're going to go in onto Lucid this time or Career again? I'm curious because it's been mostly
with
Lucid, but
the last fight, how disjointed it was, there's a chance that it could be like half the team goes on Lucid, half the team goes on Career. So the answer could be both, believe it or not. Unfortunately, Smash is Ezreal, so he's kind of safe.
Yeah.
He's not really very easy to kill. Zonia's and Flash for Showmaker, so I think this composition has unfortunately just kind of
expired.
It's expired, it's missed its windows, its relevancy has gone down, it's obsolete, you could say. No longer hot. It's a bit stale.
A bit lukewarm.
Lukewarm, potentially, yeah. It's dried out.
Oh, got ult on a Closer here. He does have his flash, but he might just die first. Tried to dodge quite a lot. He will dodge the True Shot Barrage, but now he's not here for the push that's happening in the bottom lane. But with no Baron buff left over and the decent wave clear from the Corki, looks like they can't really do much with it just yet. Just trying to continue putting on pressure. Still 2 minutes until the Elder. Probably want to get
Skirmishes.
as much damage as possible.
He has to make a hero play somehow, some way in this game, whether it's on Elder or trying to get that angle on Smash. He's so tempted. Smash is trying to bait him, though, because he's got Lucid and Showmaker right on top of him. And luckily for Pyosik, he does not, for the first time it seems in this game, listen to his inner instincts. And so they will back away. A few more super minion waves to clear to try to get any sort of presence on the Elder. Notice there's a massive amount of vision that needs to be cleared here as well for Pyosik and crew to get that gap closed in 90 seconds. Death Dance done for Shiu, putting him still a significant item advantage over Dudu, who does have an arm guard.
Is the Leona the easiest target to actually get an engage on? Because Azir and Ezreal, you know, they're both very slippery, and the Azir himself is actually a decent amount tanky and has Zhonya's. You're not going to enjoy going in onto Ambassador.
I will
Zhao here.
agree with you that she's the easiest one to get on and kill with the Protoplasm Harness, the Ionian Shield, Celestial Opposition, Eclipse, and Aftershock, and Leona's tanky stats and health pool. Yeah, with Merc Treads as well for a little bit of extra tenacity. I still think, yeah, she's probably the most realistic option.
Yeah.
So that's why we were kind of saying those things about the expiration date, and you know, maybe his composition is old news, so to speak, in this game. But maybe Pyosik, he makes a miracle steal happen. And if I'm DPLUS, with how they've been playing too, this kind of suits their playstyle. Maybe just don't even let them near the Elder and just keep pushing. And just keep pushing these waves, and maybe eventually you can group up a 4-1 and take out the third inhibitor and then do Elder. Because I think the only way back into this game is some sort of miracle steal from Pyosik into, you know, some Leandri's damage is burning, there's a good Zhonya's from Dudu, and he ends up getting enough damage done in the flip, and they end up wiping and ending the game. 5 seconds until Elder, and DPLUS are not making a choice, so to speak.
They're also very close to 2 spikes that they would love, the Rabadons and the Infinity Edge on their 2 carries, and they're just short on both. So very unfortunate timing for DNS, but they have to step up and fight now with the Elder on the map. Keria says, I'll get the job done for you. I will actually engage on the Leona. And at the end of the day, if they do engage on Leona and the rest of DPLUS Kia is actually here, you're not going to have a good time anyway. So
this is not exactly what I meant by DPLUS not really doing the Elder. It doesn't feel like DPLUS have 2 inhibitor advantage right now. Showmaker looked like maybe he was going to go over and start soloing it, but he did not.
Eventually somebody has to
Lucid will.
I think Dudu probably going to have to stop the top wave here soon.
Yeah, you'll have to back and then TP back to the fight.
Yeah, going to go in onto Keria. Not a big surprise there. Ductom avoiding the public execution, and now they're going in onto Shiu, but that's not a good target as Pyosik goes into his GA, and Keria survives. Peter going to go down, and so should Pyosik follow. Dudu just out of the fight, not really able to do much, taking a 1v1 against Showmaker, while the rest of the team just dies, although Ductom did get 2 kills somehow.
The inhibitors respawn.
But eventually, Dudu will also go down. It's a quadra kill for the Ezreal, but it's not going to be the Penta. And with a giant wave in the top lane and a lost fight, DPLUS Kia will just win game 1.
Yeah, the Ezreal comes over here as the inhibitors respawn awkwardly. So these minions will be very sad for a moment until Smash fixes that. And now the game will end. Bit of a passive one from DPLUS. I think in a lot of ways played not to lose rather than to play to win quickly. But slow and steady wins the race.